Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are the Product Success Team. I am Lex.
And I'm Rodney.
Regarding today's session, we will be going over how to use hand gestures for Aldelo Express on iPads and Android tablets. If you have any questions during the presentation, we ask that you keep them related to the topic and that you ask them in the chat. We will monitor and answer your questions accordingly. Again, please keep your questions related to the topic at hand. Otherwise, we'll open up the floor for questions as we transition and at the end of the demonstration. What are hand gestures? Gestures are certain actions that take place of actually touching a button on the screen to bring about specific functions or certain features. These actions may be swipes, 2 or 3 finger taps, or holds. Why use hand gestures? To allow for quicker input, faster navigation, access features such as employee QR logins, speed ordering, creating menu groups, menu items, and discounts. Any questions?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and take over the demonstration from here. As you can see, I have 3 devices, and I do apologize. I did have to organize the devices in such a way that the glare would not take control of the entire screen there. So what you see here are 3 devices, 2 of which are our iPad devices, which are these 2 up here, and this is our Android device here at the bottom. And the reason why we do have 2 iPads is because there are 2 interfaces that the iPads can use. They can use the classic version, and we'll call the other version during this training the Android interface. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started here, and we'll go ahead and start with the setup menu. And to access the setup menu, you can tap on the hamburger icon buttons on the upper left, or simply swipe on the edge of the screen to pull up the menu there, and then you simply swipe left to remove it. Now, one caveat with the Android device is that you do have to have the navigation bar enabled, and you'll see that at the bottom of the screen here, you have your recent icons, your exit, or your close, and then your back button. That does have to be enabled. If it's not enabled, any swipe on the edge of the screen will exit the application. And the next is the face login and scan employee QR code. Now with the iPads, you simply have to tap on the screen and it'll bring up both options with 2 fingers, and you could tap anywhere on the screen. So 2-finger tap, and it will bring up the face login, as you can see on the upper right-hand corner. Now you can toggle that over to the scan employee QR. Now with the Android device, the 2-finger tap will bring up the employee QR. You can see at the top there, scan employee QR, scan employee QR. And although it does have the face login option, you do have to manually tap the face login to bring up the camera for that feature. So there's no gesture for that. Okay, and then the inquire gift and reward balance. You can either tap on the button at the bottom, or on the iPad, you can 3-finger tap anywhere on the screen there. And it will bring up the Mesa gift reward balance inquiry. The Android tablet does not have that feature. You do have to tap on the button manually. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and get logged into the application. So I'll enter my code on all 3 devices here. So I missed that one there. And we're on the recall screen. As you can see, this is the classic interface here. This is the Android interface on the iPad. This is the Android device itself, or Android tablet. Okay, so the first feature we're going to show you is the Start New Order. So you can either tap on the new order button on the top there, or just swipe the green menu bar, swipe it left to right, and you can initiate a new order there. You can also do that on the Android interface on the iPad. However, you're not able to do that on the Android tablet there. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and pull up everyone's orders here so I can populate the screen here. Okay, so now if I swipe down on the screen, on the ticket recall screen here, you'll see it says release to refresh. So you're just going to refresh the screen there. You can do that with all three. All right, and if you swipe up all the way, and once you get to the very bottom, you can swipe up to load. So you see I've loaded more orders. You can do that with all three devices here. See, we've loaded more orders there. I'll swipe up. Yep. All right, the next feature we're going to show you is the setup. So you can access the setup menu from within the POS. So once you're logged in, however, you can only do that on the classic version of the iPad as well as the Android. So because the Android doesn't have the option to start a new order, you'll find that if you do swipe left to right from the edge of the screen there, it will pull up the setup menu, swipe left to exit. However, with the classic version, there is a trick to that as well. So you obviously cannot swipe on the green menu as it'll start a new order. You do have to be within the ticket screen. So this white area at the top, swipe that from left to right, and it will pull up the menu, and swipe left to exit. Right, and another feature that is exclusive to the classic version on the iPad, you can exit out of the order as long as there are no items in the ticket screen. If you take two fingers and swipe left to right, it will exit you out. So it's going to mimic this check button here. So I'll take two fingers, swipe left to right, and it exits out of the software. I'll go and get logged back in here. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the miscellaneous next. And we're going to access the hostess feature because that's where more gestures can be taken advantage of there. All right, so these two, again, are the iPad versions. The interface is exactly the same, and they act the same there. You'll find that the tables, as you can see with the iPads, they can be organized, and with the Android tablet, they are organized in order. But with the iPad, you can move the tables. So what you do is press down on a table. I'll take wall 06 here, press down with one finger, drag and drop to the desired location. And with this iPad here, I'll take table D13, press down, drag and drop to a new location there. Okay, and then you can also pull up the item description. You can also pull up the table info by two-finger tapping the item. So if I two-finger tap the wall 06, it will pull up the table info. So this does come in handy if you did add the table in without defining a max guest count. You can always add that in and define that. Or you can take the table out of visibility, set it to hidden, and it takes it out of the group there. And now you'll see that 10 designated on the table that designates that is the max guest count at that table. This can also be done on the Android interface. And you'll see this already does have a max guest count defined. And then on the Android tablet itself, you can perform the same function. It'll pull up the table info. Now, if I would like to add a new table, I can two-finger tap any blank area of the screen, so no tiles present there. So I'm just going to take two fingers and tap the screen. You'll see I can add a new table. I'll do that with this device, and that's present there. And with the Android tablet, you can two-finger tap, and you can add a new table there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of the hostess. And what we're able to do as well, if I bring up the miscellaneous, you'll find that you can exit the miscellaneous by performing a gesture. So on the classic version, you'll see on the bottom left, it says swipe right to exit. So it'll exit out of the miscellaneous. On the Android interface on the iPad, you can swipe down to exit. However, with the Android tablet itself, you do have to tap on the exit button to exit out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start a new order here. So with the iPads, I can swipe that over. I'll go and start a new order here. All right, and a couple things I want to show you here is that you can relocate items just like you can the tables. You can relocate them on the iPads. So if I take this burger steak here, I want that at the top of my menu. I can drag that and drop it to the desired location. Same feature with the Android interface on the iPad. See the items wiggle, I can drag and drop. Or that feature is not available on the Android tablet itself. Okay, and we'll get next into the item description. So you can two-finger tap an item, and if there is an item description there, that description will be present and be displayed there. Will be displayed there. So this one actually does have a description there. Same with the Android tablet. And you'll see that there's options to add the item in at the bottom of each window there. So I'm going to exit out. So I'm going to show you next an item that actually is a top level item. So fries here. So if I tap on fries, it does have sub-level items. So what I'm going to do is show you the item description there. There is a description, but you don't have the option to add the item in. You do have to actually access the sub-level items to be able to add those items in. And that has the same feature. And that has the same feature with the Android. So I don't have the option to add the items, but if I go into the sub items, I can go ahead and add the order in. Yep. Okay, then now you can set items out of stock by performing a two-finger hold. So if I press down with two fingers, it sets it to out of stock. All three devices have this feature. Well, that's the same item. Let me choose a different one here. Then if I two-finger hold on each one, it puts it back into stock. Okay, and you'll find that if I swipe up on the items, if you pay attention to the left on the groups here, I'm actually toggling between the groups. And if I have a group whose items exceed the maximum amount of items on the screen, you should see dots at the bottom. You can actually swipe left and right. I'll show you the same on these stores here. And then also here, I'm toggling between the groups. It's a lot easier to see because the buttons are larger on the Android tablets. And then you can swipe left and right if those items exceed the screen there. Now, a feature that's exclusive to the iPads as well is the option to add menu groups, items, and discounts. And what you do is you have to be on the area where the items are. Take two fingers and swipe up. However, if you try that on the Android tablet, two fingers, it'll just toggle the groups there. And then you can swipe down to return to the menu. Now to access the order info, that's this green button here, and it's also on the ticket here. To access that on the iPads only, you also have to be on the items again. You take two fingers and swipe down to bring up the order info. Again, this feature is not available on the Android tablet. As you can see, if I swipe two fingers up and two fingers down, it will just toggle between the groups there. So we're going to go ahead and add some items in. You can see if I have modifier actions, I could two finger tap, bring up modifier actions there. And I'll add a couple for each device here. Two finger tap for modifier actions. And the last device here on the Android tablet, we'll go with no spice. Okay, so I have items on each device here. And actually, let me add a pizza because I showed you how to add to access the modifier actions. We'll go ahead and add a pizza. And just to show you you'll see there's a 2x, 3x, nowhere extra options to each two finger tap. And you'll see those options there. We go to a pizza here. As you can see, I'm two finger tapping the topping to be able to view the different options there. So that's that gesture there. So I have multiple items on the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and expand the screen. So we'll start with the classic version here. You'll see that the screen is pretty limited. If you have even more items on the screen, it is limited as to how many items you can see there. You can expand it. There's multiple ways of expanding the ticket screen there. You can tap on this bar where the subtotal taxes and balances are. You can just tap on it and it expands and retracts. You can take two fingers and tap anywhere in the ticket to expand and retract it. You can take two fingers and swipe down, two fingers swipe up. So that's why when you do access the order info or the option to add a menu group, menu item, or discount, you do that portion under the items. And then when you take the two fingers and swipe up and down on the actual ticket, it will expand it. And the easiest way is to actually just drag down on the box to view. You can drag and release and release it at the bottom to keep it open or swipe it up to retract it there. Now with the two devices, the Android interface on the iPad, you tap on the screen to get into the edit screen for both devices there. And if you want to void out a line item, you simply swipe right to left on a specific item that you want to void out. You'll see I have that on all devices. And on the Android tablet, you can see that you can swipe right to left on that while on the ticket edit. But if I'm in the section where the ticket is on the right, I can swipe right to left to bring out the void and void it from the ticket screen there. If I try that on the Android interface on the iPad, I won't be able to void out the line item there. Okay, then I can perform a repeat round. So I'm going to go ahead and expand these again. Now with the now with the iPads, you can swipe anywhere on the ticket from left to right, and it will bring up the repeat round options at the top. Anywhere on the screen on the Android interface on the iPad. However, on the Android tablet, you could tap on the ticket. I do have to swipe left to right on an actual item. So I'll do that, and you'll see it brings out the repeat round options. Now, if I remove that and I swipe left to right on any blank portion of the screen here, it'll just exit out of the edit screen. All right, so we'll go ahead and make some edits to the modifiers. So we'll exit out of the repeat round on these two devices here. Now, the tonkatsu ramen, that's the most recent item. If I two-finger hold the screen, it will bring up the template for the tonkatsu. So this is the advanced modifier template for that item there, and I can make changes. Let's say I wanted to change it from small to large and change some of my options here. If I wanted to make edits to the BFA, because that is a previous item, I do have to tap on the item first so it's accessed, and I can two-finger hold and make some changes there. Now, alternatively, they can actually tap on the salt and pepper shaker icons to make changes to the modifiers there. But another way to do that is just to perform a two-finger hold. Now, with the Android interface on the iPad, you can perform the same function. So we'll take the chicken tenders here and make adjustments to that. You'll see that the template is called wings. I can make those adjustments here. Now, if I want to make adjustments to the buffalo wings, I do have to tap on the buffalo wings. There is no indication that I'm actually tapping on the buffalo wings, but when I do a two-finger hold, it actually brings up the wing sauces template, which is tied to the buffalo wings there. And I can make changes there. The Android doesn't have that particular function at this time. All right, the next feature I want to show you is a speed ordering. So we'll exit out here. Now, to access the speed ordering feature that is only available on the iPads, you can three-finger tap any part of the ticket screen on the classic interface. That will bring up the speed ordering. And on the Android interface on the iPad, you do have to have the ticket on the right-hand side in order to access this feature. So if I three-finger tap the screen, it will bring up the speed ordering. Now that I've shown you on both devices, speed ordering is just another way of pulling up items that have a barcode or SKU applied to it. So if a barcode was scanned in, you can scan it this time and put the items in. Or if they went by naming convention, like I have here, you can pull up items that have a naming convention that have similar items and pull them up, and you can actually add them into the ticket there. Right? The Android doesn't have that feature. If I three-finger tap on the ticket on the right-hand side, it does not have that. Or if I'm in the edit screen, three-finger tap does not have access to it. All right, the next feature I want to show you, and this is exclusive to the classic interface on the iPad, is pushing the order through and sending it to the kitchen. Now, the first gesture I'm going to show you is going to mimic the check mark. So instead of hitting the check mark, what that does is it sends the order to the kitchen and then closes out the order, and then they're able to start a new order. Or I can mimic the settle button, which is the $ which takes them into the settle screen. So I'm going to go ahead and perform the finish first, or the done. So what I'm going to do, it has to be on the ticket screen. I'm going to swipe left to right with two fingers, and it pushes it through, and you'll see it pulls it into the recall screen. The ticket is now empty. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and recall that order. And it's active on the screen again. If I swipe from right to left with two fingers, it'll take me into the settle. So I'm going to go ahead now and push these all through. I'm going to go into the settle screen here, and I'll pay these all off with my gift card. All right, so we did leave these open just to show you the last feature within the POS. On that box with the settled, you can swipe it right to left to pull up different options. Obviously, that's to adjust tips, reprint the receipt, or void the payment. All right, so that's the last within. There's actually one more set here, and that's in the alerts. So we can either go into the alerts. So there's different settings for these devices here. We can go into these alerts by tapping on either tapping on the bring up the setup menu, bring up the alerts. I can or tap on the icons themselves, and it will bring up the failed print jobs. There's actually an online order here. I'm going to go into the pending print jobs. To clear out these failed print jobs, you can swipe from right to left to clear it out. It says delete. I'll go and delete these now. All right. And that is the last of the gestures I have to show you today. So if you have any questions.
All right, thank you for joining. Please view our YouTube channel and subscribe. See you next week.